The twin suns of the alien world hung high above the desert, pouring down endless heat. The air shimmered, and every step pressed Tom deeper into exhaustion. His boots were coated with dust, his throat dry, and his pack nearly empty. Tom had been wandering for 3 days since his small exploration shuttle crashed in the wasteland. He had no beacon strong enough to reach orbit, no working comms, and only his determination kept him moving forward. Though Earth-trained, Tom knew survival. Here was different. The desert was wider than any he had crossed back home. Strange shapes shifted across the dunes, some alive and some tricks of light. He carried his knife and a makeshift spear, but he had no clear destination. Each morning, he told himself he would survive one more day. By midday, the wind picked up, throwing dust against his skin. Tom pulled his scarf higher and pushed forward, scanning the horizon. His eyes caught something unusual near the edge of a rock formation. At first, he thought it was another mirage, but as he approached, the shape became clear. It was a creature. The animal lay on its side, half in the shade of a jagged stone outcrop. Its fur was silver, catching the sunlight with an almost metallic shine. Long ears twitched weakly, and its chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. Even from a distance, Tom could see blood matted into its coat. He stopped a few paces away, cautious. This was not Earth, and he had no idea what alien beasts could do. The animal's glowing eyes flickered open, watching him with a strange intensity. It did not growl or bare teeth. Instead, it made a soft sound, almost like a whimper of pain. Tom sighed. He knew the smart thing was to keep moving. Water was scarce, and stopping to help an alien creature could put his own survival at risk. Yet, as he looked at its trembling body, something inside him would not let him walk away. He set his pack down and crouched closer. "Easy there," he muttered in a low voice. "I'm not here to hurt you." The creature tried to lift its head, but failed. Its body shook, and its side showed a long gash, deep enough that Tom wondered how it was still alive. He had treated wounds in survival training, but never on something like this. Carefully, Tom reached for his canteen. He poured a little water into his palm and extended it toward the creature. At first, it did not move. Then, with surprising gentleness, it leaned forward and licked the water from his hand. Its tongue was warm and rough, but its movements were slow, careful. Tom smiled faintly. "Guess you're thirsty, too." He gave it a little more before pulling a cloth from his pack. He tore strips and pressed them against the wound. The creature flinched but did not resist. Tom tied the cloth as tight as he could, hoping to slow the bleeding. He had no proper medicine, only what he carried from the wreck. A small tube of antiseptic gel had survived, and he spread it carefully across the gash. The silver fur around. The wound darkened as the gel sank in. Hours passed slowly as Tom worked. He set up a small shade using his emergency sheet, giving both himself and the creature some relief from the burning suns. He stayed near, watching over it, checking that it kept breathing. As the day faded, the desert sky turned orange, then deep purple as the twin suns dipped below the horizon. Stars lit the night, brighter than Tom had ever seen from Earth. The creature stirred more now, its breathing stronger. It opened its eyes again, glowing faintly under the starlight. Tom sat cross-legged beside it, chewing on the last of his rations. He spoke aloud, half to himself, half to the animal. "I don't know what you are. You're not like the other things I've seen wandering out here. You're quiet, almost thoughtful." The animal blinked at him. "Yeah, thoughtful," he said with a tired chuckle. "I guess I'm losing it, talking to you like you understand me. But maybe it helps." The wind howled softly across the dunes, and Tom pulled his scarf tighter. He glanced again at the creature. Despite his exhaustion, he felt a strange calm sitting near it. He thought about the crash, about the mission that had failed, and about the endless desert waiting to swallow him. Yet somehow, he felt less alone. Near midnight. The creature made another sound, softer this time, like a sigh. It shifted slightly, resting its head closer to Tom's boots. The gesture surprised him. He had expected fear or mistrust, but instead, the animal seemed to draw comfort from his presence. "You're not as wild as I thought," he whispered. "Maybe you're just like me, lost out here, trying to survive." He leaned back, staring, up at the stars. He wondered if rescue would ever come, or if this world would be his last resting place. The thought should have filled him with dread, yet he felt a flicker of something else. Hope. Maybe it was foolish, but helping the creature gave him a sense of purpose again. As long as it breathed, he had a reason to keep moving, to keep fighting. When sleep finally took him, Tom dreamed of water, of green fields, and of home. But in the dream, beside him, there was always the silver-furred animal, walking at his side as though it belonged there. By dawn, the creature was still alive, its breathing steady. Tom stretched, rubbed his eyes, and looked at it with quiet satisfaction. "Well," he said softly, "looks like we made it through the night." What he did not know was that his single choice to stop, to give water and to heal wounds, would change not just his fate, but the fate of an entire people. The second day in the desert began with a sky painted in pink and gold. Tom woke up to the sound of soft breathing near him. The creature was still alive. Its silver fur shimmered faintly as the suns rose higher. The bandages Tom had tied were stained, but the bleeding had slowed. For a moment, relief washed over him. He had not wasted his effort. Tom stretched his tired limbs and drank a small sip from his canteen. He was running low, but when he looked at the animal, he poured some water into a shallow metal lid and slid it toward it. The creature lapped it up, its glowing eyes never leaving his face. "You're stronger today," Tom said quietly. "Good. Maybe you'll even stand soon." The animal tilted its head, almost as if it understood. Tom chuckled to himself. It was strange, but he was beginning to feel like he had a companion. He cleaned the wound again with gentle hands. To his surprise, the gash seemed smaller than it had been yesterday. The skin beneath the silver fur was already knitting together faster than any earth creature could manage. He frowned. "That's unusual. You healed too quickly." The creature gave a soft sound, something between a purr and a hum. Tom leaned, back on his elbows, watching it. He wondered if maybe this was a species with advanced biology, something his people had never studied. The galaxy was full of surprises, and survival training never covered all of them. By midday, the creature tried to rise. Its legs trembled, and it nearly collapsed again. But Tom stepped forward quickly, steadying it with his arms. The animal was taller than he expected when upright, its long legs carrying it almost to his shoulder. It leaned against him for support, eyes glowing brighter under the suns. "You're tougher than you look," he said. "All right, easy now, don't rush." They spent hours resting in the shade of the rocks. Tom shared the last of his food, dried protein strips from his ration pack. To his surprise, the creature accepted them carefully, chewing slowly. Its movements were refined, too refined for a wild animal. It never snapped or grabbed. Instead, it ate with calm patience as though showing respect. Tom found himself talking more as the hours passed. Maybe it was the heat, maybe the loneliness, but words flowed easily. "Back home, I had a dog once. Big, clumsy, always drooling. You're nothing like him, but you remind me of the way he used to sit with me, always watching, always listening. He made me feel like I wasn't alone, kind of like you." The creature blinked, and for a brief moment, Tom could have sworn there was a flicker of understanding in its glowing eyes. He shook his head, smiling to himself. "I must be losing it, talking to you like you're more than a desert beast. Yet deep inside, He could not shake the feeling that this animal was different. As night returned, Tom set up his small shelter again. The desert cooled quickly, and icy winds replaced the heat. He wrapped himself in his thermal blanket, but before long the silver-furred creature shifted closer. Its body radiated warmth, and though Tom hesitated, he let it lie near. He felt safer with it beside him, as though the desert itself dared not challenge the bond forming between them. During the night, Tom awoke once. The creature was staring at the stars, head lifted, eyes glowing faint blue under the twin moons. It was not looking at him, but at the heavens with an expression he could not explain, almost thoughtful, almost human. The next morning, the change was clearer. The wound had closed even more, leaving only a faint scar. The creature moved more freely now, walking short distances before resting. Tom followed it carefully, never letting it go too far. His pack was nearly empty, yet he felt reluctant to leave it behind, even for water. They traveled together that day. The animal walked beside him, not ahead, not behind. At times it glanced toward him, and at times it brushed lightly against his arm with its fur, as though reminding him he was not alone. By afternoon, Tom spotted shapes on the horizon, distant structures, perhaps ruins, perhaps signs of life. His heart jumped. He turned to the creature who was watching him closely. "See that? Maybe shelter, maybe food. If we're lucky, maybe people." The animal gave another soft sound, not quite a growl, not quite a hum. Tom laughed. "I'll take that as agreement." They pushed onward until dusk. The ruins drew closer, stone walls half buried in sand, broken towers that once stood tall. It looked like an ancient settlement, long abandoned but still holding shadows of history. Tom entered carefully, spear in hand. The creature followed silently, every movement graceful, as though it belonged here. Strange carvings covered the walls, symbols Tom did not recognize. He touched one with his fingertips, wondering about the civilization that had lived here. The creature stepped ahead, pausing near a broken arch. It lowered its head, ears twitching. Then it turned back toward Tom, eyes glowing brighter than ever. He felt a chill run through him. It was as if the animal was trying to tell him something. "You know this place," Tom whispered. "Don't you?" The creature made no sound, only continued to stare at him. In that moment, Tom felt the strongest sense yet that he was not just traveling with a beast. There was intelligence here. Something waiting, something hidden beneath the silver fur and glowing eyes. As night fell again, Tom sat against the ruins, the creature lying close by. The desert wind howled through the broken walls, but the place felt less lonely than the open dunes. Tom closed his eyes, thinking of how strange the past 2 days had been. He had set out only to survive, but now he had a companion who healed faster than nature allowed, who looked at him as though it understood his every word, and who seemed connected to ruins that whispered of an ancient past. He smiled faintly, in the darkness. "You're no ordinary animal, are you?" The creature's eyes glowed once more in the night, silent but full of meaning. The ruins offered shelter from the harsh winds, but Tom could not rest. He sat by the crumbled wall, staring at the glowing eyes of the silver-furred creature lying near him. It had healed far beyond what he expected. The deep gash from before was now a faint scar, almost gone. Its strength had returned, and the way it moved carried a quiet grace. Tom rubbed his temples. He kept asking himself the same question. "What are you really?" The creature tilted its head as if it had heard the thought. Its gaze held something more than instinct. Tom had lived long enough to know the difference between a wild animal's stare and the way this being looked at him. That night, the moons rose high above the desert, casting soft blue light across the ruins. The air grew cold, and Tom pulled his blanket tight around his shoulders. The creature stood suddenly and walked to the center of the ruined courtyard. Its silver fur gleamed under the moonlight, and its long ears twitched in the still air. Tom watched, puzzled. "What's going on?" The creature raised its head and let out a soft sound. It was not the whimper of pain or the hum of contentment he had heard before. This sound was clear, almost like a note from an instrument. The ruins seemed to respond, the carvings on the walls catching faint glimmers of light. Tom rose slowly, spear in hand, unsure if danger was near. Then it happened. The big silver fur began to shimmer as if melting away. The creature's form shifted, bones stretching, limbs changing. Its glowing eyes remained fixed on him, but the body reshaped itself before his very eyes. Where once stood a wounded animal, now a tall figure took form. The fur faded into smooth skin with a faint silver hue. Long hair, flowing like strands of light, cascaded over slender shoulders. Clothing formed from the shimmer itself, wrapping her in woven patterns of pale fabric. The glowing eyes softened, now fully human-like, though brighter than any eyes Tom had ever seen. Tom staggered back, his heart pounding. Standing where the animal had been was a woman. Tom's voice cracked. He tried again. You're not an animal." The figure straightened, graceful even after days of weakness. Her voice carried a tone that was calm, yet commanding. "No, I am not. My name is Arya." Tom blinked, his spear lowering slowly. "Arya. I am of the royal line of my people," she continued. "The form you saw was my second shape, a gift of protection. When danger comes, I hide in that body, but when I was attacked, I could not return to myself. I was wounded. And alone. Until you found me." Tom struggled to process the truth. He had spoken to her as if she were a lost beast. He had offered her water, fed her rations, and spoken about his dog from Earth. Now she stood before him, regal and otherworldly. He whispered. "You understood me. All that time. You weren't just listening. You understood." Arya's glowing eyes softened. "Yes, I listened. Your words gave me strength when my body could not. I heard your loneliness. I felt your kindness." Tom ran a hand through his dusty hair. "And I thought I was losing my mind, talking to you like a friend." Arya stepped closer, her movements elegant, her presence both strange and comforting. "You were not wrong. You gave me water when you could have kept it for yourself. You treated my wounds when you owed me nothing. In my world, such selfless acts are rare. You saved me without knowing who I was." Tom let out a nervous laugh. "I thought you were just some kind of animal, a wounded one." Arya smiled faintly, the first real smile he had seen from her. "And that is why your actions matter even more. You gave kindness without expecting a reward. That is a gift no title or crown can command." The ruins were quiet around them, the desert winds hushed as though the world itself listened. Tom lowered himself onto a stone, still trying to steady his thoughts. Arya remained standing, the moonlight wrapping her like a cloak. For a long moment, they said nothing. Then Tom spoke again. "If you're royalty, where are your people? Why were you alone?" Arya's expression darkened. She looked away toward the broken archways. "My world is not at peace. There are those who want power that is not theirs. They struck at me, hoping to end my line. My guards fell protecting me. I fled, using my second form to hide. But I was wounded before I could escape far." She paused, then turned back to him. "Had you not found me, I would not be standing here now." Tom stared at her, silent for a moment. He had thought his crash was the worst fate in the desert, but she had been running for her life, carrying the weight of an entire people on her shoulders. He finally said, "Then we're both lost out. Here, you, a princess hiding from enemies. Me, a stranded human with no ship." Arya's smile returned, gentler this time. Perhaps fate wanted us to meet. The thought sent a strange warmth through Tom. He looked at her carefully. She was tall and graceful, her silver-toned hair drifting in the breeze. There was strength in her presence, yet her eyes carried gratitude and trust. Tom set his spear aside, realizing he no longer needed it. "All right then, Arya. I don't know what happens next, but if you need someone to watch your back, I'm here." Her expression softened further. "And I will not forget that promise." They settled within the ruins for the night. Tom leaned against the wall while Arya sat across from him, her silver hair catching the light of the moons. She no longer looked like a helpless creature. She looked like someone important, someone who had chosen to reveal her true self to him. Tom felt the weight of the moment. He had stumbled into something far larger than his own survival. He was no longer just a man in the desert. He was tied now to an alien princess with enemies, secrets, and a destiny he could not yet see. As he closed his eyes, exhaustion pulling him into uneasy sleep, one thought stayed with him. His single act of compassion had opened a door to a world far beyond what he had imagined. The morning after Arya revealed her true form, the desert felt different to Tom. It was no longer just endless sand and survival. Now there was purpose. He followed Arya as she walked with calm confidence through the ruins, her silver hair catching the early light. She looked stronger than before, as if her recovery was complete. Tom tightened the straps of his worn pack. "So, where are we heading?" Arya glanced at him, her glowing eyes steady. "To my people, a hidden camp beyond these dunes. They believe me lost, perhaps even dead. I must show them I still live." Tom raised a brow. "And what will they think when they see me with you?" Arya's expression softened, though her voice held weight. "They will question, some will mistrust, but they will know the truth. I would not stand here if not for you." Tom gave a small laugh. "Well, guess I should try to make a good impression." They left the ruins and pressed deeper into the desert. Arya moved with purpose, her steps never faltering. Tom followed close. Though the heat pressed hard against him, he kept glancing at her, still amazed at the transformation from the wounded beast he had carried water to. She was graceful, confident, yet when her eyes met his, there was warmth that told him she had not forgotten those first moments of kindness. By midday, jagged cliffs rose ahead. Arya led him toward a narrow pass hidden between the rocks. Tom could hear faint sounds beyond, voices carried on the wind. When they stepped through the pass, he froze. An entire camp stretched out before them. Tents of pale cloth stood in rows, fires burned low, and armored figures moved through the settlement. Their weapons glimmered in the light, sharp and foreign. Almost at once, the nearest guard spotted them. Shouts rang out. Spears tipped with energy blades were raised, and a line of soldiers closed in around them. Tom gripped his spear tightly, heart pounding, but Arya raised her hand. "Hold!" Her voice rang with authority, clear and commanding. The soldiers hesitated, eyes widening. One of them dropped to a knee. "Princess Arya, you live!" The camp erupted in noise. More figures rushed forward, some in disbelief, others crying out her name. Tom stood awkwardly at her side as the soldiers knelt, the weight of their devotion clear. Arya stepped forward, lifting her head proudly. "I live because one outside our people gave me his aid. Without him, I would have perished in the desert." Her words sent ripples of shock through the crowd. Dozens of glowing eyes turned toward Tom. He felt the weight of their stares, suspicion, confusion, and in some cases, open hostility. One soldier stood, His armor was marked with scars of battle, and his voice carried strength. "Princess, this creature is human. Why bring him here? He could be spy or enemy." Tom's grip tightened. On his spear, though he kept his stance calm, he did not want to appear aggressive. Arya's voice sharpened like steel. "He is no enemy. He gave me water when his own was nearly gone. He bound my wounds with his hands. He protected me without knowing who I was. You will show him respect." The soldier lowered his head but muttered, "It is not our way to trust." "Outsiders so easily." Tom stepped forward before Arya could answer. "Look, I'm not here to cause trouble. I didn't even know who she was when I helped. I just saw someone hurt and did what anyone should do. You don't have to like me, but I'm not your enemy." The camp went quiet. The honesty in his tone seemed to reach some of them, though. Others still looked doubtful. Arya turned toward the crowd. "This human will walk with me. He is my protector, and his presence is my choice." Her words silenced the camp completely. Though whispers broke out again, none dared to openly challenge her. The soldiers slowly lowered their weapons, and the tension eased, though not fully. Arya guided Tom deeper into the camp. Children peeked from behind tents, their wide, glowing eyes curious. Older women whispered, pointing at him with hands covering their mouths. Warriors watched with guarded stares. Tom felt like a stranger surrounded by judgment, but he kept his head high. Inside a larger tent, Arya motioned for him to sit. She poured water into a carved cup and offered it to him. "You handled yourself well," she said softly. "Few could stand against the weight of their suspicion. But you spoke with truth." Tom took the cup gratefully, drinking slowly. "They don't trust me. I get it. I wouldn't either if some outsider walked into my people's camp with the princess." Her lips curved slightly. "Their doubts will fade in time. What matters is that I trust you." The words struck deeper than Tom expected. He met her eyes and nodded. "Then I'll keep proving you're right to." Later that evening, the camp gathered in the central square. Fires burned bright, casting long shadows. The people wanted proof their princess truly returned. Arya stood before them, her silver hair gleaming in the firelight. She told the story of her escape, of her wounds, and of the one who found her. When she spoke of Tom, voices rose in debate. Some argued he should leave at once. Others said he had earned his place. Through it all, Arya remained calm, her gaze steady. Finally, she lifted her hand. "This human is not here by chance," she declared. "He showed the heart of one who protects without demand, who saves without question. He is my ally. To disrespect him is to disrespect me." The crowd fell silent. Even those who still doubted dared not push further. Tom stood at the edge of the firelight, feeling the heat of so many eyes upon him. He had never sought honor or recognition. He had only tried to keep one wounded creature alive in the desert. Yet now, standing among an alien people, he realized that simple choice had carried him to a place of unexpected importance. As the fires burned into the night, Arya returned to his side. She gave him a look that was both grateful and determined. "You will face trials here, Tom. They will test you, perhaps even challenge you. But remember this. You have already won something greater than their doubt. You have won my trust." Tom nodded slowly, his heart steady. Whatever came next, he knew he would not walk away. The camp did not sleep easily that night. Though the people had cheered to see their princess alive, many still cast suspicious eyes toward Tom. Wherever he walked, he felt their stares. Warriors stood taller when he passed, mothers pulled children behind them, and whispers followed him like a shadow. Tom understood. He was an outsider, a stranger from a faraway world. In their eyes, he was untested, and his presence beside the princess seemed almost an insult. The next morning, Arya walked with him through the camp. "Do not be troubled by their looks," she said in her calm voice. "My people value strength, not words. They will not believe until they see with their own eyes." Tom sighed. Figures. Back on Earth, soldiers weren't much different. Respect comes after you prove yourself. Arya gave a small smile. "Then you know what must be." Done. They did not have to wait long for that test. By afternoon, scouts rushed into the camp with urgent cries. A raiding party from the rival faction had been spotted near the valley, the same faction that had wounded Arya days before. The camp erupted into motion. Warriors armed themselves. Children were pulled into shelters, and the air filled with the tension of coming battle. Tom gripped his spear, heart pounding. He had fought before in survival training, but this was different. This was not training. One of the older commanders stepped forward, his eyes sharp on Tom. "If you wish to stand beside our princess, then prove it today. Fight with us or leave." Tom nodded firmly. "I'll fight." The warriors gave him a strange mix of respect and doubt. He had no alien weapon, no armor like theirs, but he carried determination, and that was something they could not ignore. When the raid came, it came fast. Dark-clad figures burst from the sands, their weapons glowing with sharp energy. The camp shook with shouts and the clash of blades. Arya stood tall at the center, directing her people, her voice steady even as chaos spread. Tom threw himself into the fight. His spear was crude compared to the enemy's weapons, but he used it with skill. He had no energy shield, so he relied on speed, ducking, and weaving. When one raider charged at a young warrior, Tom stepped in, driving the butt of his spear into the raider's stomach, then striking again across the head. The raider fell hard into the sand. Another came at him with a glowing blade. Tom barely dodged, grabbing a handful of sand and throwing it into the raider's eyes. As the enemy stumbled, Tom swung his spear low, knocking him off his feet. The watching warriors shouted in surprise. They had not expected such tricks. Tom fought with instinct, with grit, using everything around him. He tipped over a water jar to make a raider slip. He pulled down a tent pole, tangling another in ropes. Where the alien warriors fought with strength and form, Tom fought with cunning and surprise. Through it all, he never left Arya's side. Whenever danger drew near her, he was there, blocking, striking, or pushing enemies back. The battle raged until the raiders realized their attack had failed. They fled into the dunes, leaving the camp shaken but standing. As the dust settled, the people gathered in silence. Their eyes turned toward Tom. He was breathing hard, his arms sore, his spear chipped and cracked. Yet he still stood, steady and unbroken. One of the younger warriors spoke first. "He fights with no shield, no armor, yet he does not fall." Another added, "He does not fight like us, but he wins. He defends the princess with his life." Murmurs spread through the crowd, no longer whispers of suspicion, but tones of respect. The older commander who had challenged Tom before stepped forward. His sharp eyes studied the human for a long moment before he finally spoke. "You are not of our people, yet you fought as one of us. You have earned the right to walk in this camp." The words carried weight. Tom lowered his spear, nodding silently. Arya stepped beside him, her silver hair shining under the twin suns. "Do you see now?" she said to her people. "This man, though not born of our world, holds the heart of a protector. His courage is plain for all to see." The camp erupted in cheers this time, not just for Arya, but for Tom as well. Children who had once hidden now stepped forward with wide eyes. Warriors who had doubted him nodded in respect. For the first time since he arrived, Tom felt he was not just tolerated, but accepted. Later, when the fires burned in the square, the people celebrated their victory. Music rose, strange and beautiful, carrying across the dunes. Food was shared, and laughter echoed. Tom sat near the fire, watching it all with quiet wonder. Arya joined him, her expression softer than before. "You have done more than defend the camp. You have shown them who you are." Tom gave a tired smile. "Guess I passed the test." "You did more than pass," Arya said. "You turned suspicion into respect. That is not easily won." He looked at her, meeting her glowing eyes. "I didn't do it for them. I did it for you." For a moment, Arya said nothing. Then she lowered her gaze, a faint smile touching her lips. "And that is why it matters even more." The fire crackled between them. The camp sang and celebrated, but Tom's thoughts were quiet. He had come to this world only to survive. Yet, now, sitting beside an alien princess, respected by her people, he felt something greater awakening. He was no longer just a stranded human. He was part of something larger, something that might shape the future of this world. The day after the raid, the camp was quieter, though tension lingered in the air. The people celebrated the victory, but not everyone had accepted Tom's presence fully. Whispers returned, carried along with the desert wind. Some of the older council members still doubted his loyalty, still questioned how a human could be trusted alongside their princess. Arya knew it was time to face them. She called a council meeting in the central hall, a tent larger than the others, adorned with fabrics that shimmered in the sunlight. Tom followed her quietly. Though he was tired from battle and travel, he stood tall beside her, ready for whatever challenge awaited. The council consisted of 5 elders, each older than the last. Their robes were patterned with symbols of authority, and their expressions were stern. They had been with Arya since childhood, guiding her people. Now, they looked at Tom as though he were a shadow threatening their light. "Princess Arya," began the eldest council member, his voice deep and firm, "we rejoice in your return. Yet this human, his presence brings concern. He is not of our world. He may have fought in our camp, but trust is earned, not assumed. We ask that you reconsider keeping him near." Tom's heart tightened. He had hoped that his actions during the raid would speak for themselves. Yet here was doubt, voiced by those whose judgment Arya valued most. Arya's eyes hardened. "I will not reconsider. This human saved me. He risked his life in the desert and in our camp. He is loyal, brave, and trustworthy. To deny him is to deny the truth." One of the council members leaned forward, voice sharp. "We do not question your judgment, Princess, but loyalty to your people must come first. You cannot let personal feelings influence decisions that may endanger all of us." Arya's gaze shifted slightly to Tom. Her voice softened but remained firm. "This is not about feelings. This is about trust earned through action. He stood against our enemies when our own warriors faced danger. He showed courage where others might have faltered. He has proven himself in ways that cannot be ignored." The room was quiet. Tom felt the weight of their scrutiny. He wanted to speak, to defend himself, but Arya placed a hand lightly on his arm. Her touch was steady, reassuring. "Tom does not seek recognition," Arya continued. "He acted out of kindness and courage. That is more than enough. He has my trust. That alone is reason enough for him to remain." Another council member, younger than the rest but known for strict judgment, rose abruptly. "You favor him too much. We have seen humans before. They come with words and promises but betray easily. How can we be certain he will not do the same?" Tom cleared his throat, speaking carefully. "I have no plan but to stay here and help. I don't know what tomorrow brings, and I can't speak for the future. All I know is that I helped the princess because she was hurt. That's it. Nothing more. I have no reason to betray anyone." Arya gave a small nod. "He speaks truthfully. I have seen his actions. They match his words." The eldest council member leaned back, folding his hands. Silence filled the tent. The only sound was the wind outside, whispering over the dunes. Finally, Arya stepped forward, raising her voice with authority. "I have faced danger, I have seen treachery, and I have known pain. Yet this human stood with me when none else could. His courage and loyalty are clear. He is my protector, chosen not by blood or birth, but by heart. If you doubt him, you doubt me as well. And I will not allow that." The council murmured among themselves, clearly unsettled. Arya's words carried weight, her presence commanding respect. Still, some hesitated, their skepticism evident in their expressions. Tom looked at Arya, feeling a surge of gratitude and admiration. She had defended him openly, putting her own authority and position at risk. He realized then how deeply she cared, not just for her people, but for him. The realization was quiet, yet powerful. Arya turned her gaze fully to the council. "This matter is settled. He will remain with me. His place is here, beside me, as protector and ally. Anyone who refuses this will answer to me directly." A long pause followed. Finally, the council members nodded, though some reluctantly. Respect was earned, and in that moment, Tom understood he had earned theirs, even if trust would continue to grow slowly. As the meeting ended, Arya stepped closer to Tom. Her silver hair shimmered in the sunlight filtering through the tent. "You did well," she whispered. "They may question you, doubt you, but they cannot deny what you have done. They see your heart, even if slowly." Tom smiled faintly. "I just did what I thought was right. I didn't expect to. I don't know win anyone over, least of all a princess." Arya's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. "Your actions spoke louder than words. That is all that matters." The days that followed were easier. Tom moved freely through the camp, no longer feeling the same weight of suspicion. Children played nearby, sometimes attempting to mimic his movements during training exercises. Warriors nodded in recognition as he passed. His place beside Arya was no longer questioned openly, though whispers persisted in corners. Each evening, after the work and training, Arya would seek Tom's company. They would walk through the camp, checking defenses, speaking quietly about the world beyond the desert, and sometimes just sitting together in silence under the stars. The bond between them grew stronger, built on trust, respect, and shared experiences. One night, under the twin moons, Arya finally spoke softly. "You have done more than protect me or our camp. You have shown me what kindness truly means. You came without expectation and acted with courage. That is rare in any world." Tom looked at her, surprised by the sincerity in her voice. "I didn't think of it that way. I just helped." She reached out, brushing a strand of dusted hair from his forehead. "And yet, your simple act has changed much. You have earned a place in my heart, Tom. That is not easily given." Tom felt a warmth he had never experienced before. He nodded slowly, understanding the weight of her words. This was no longer just about survival. This was about trust, loyalty, and a bond that had grown from compassion in the desert. The camp slept quietly that night. Tom sat near the fire, feeling a sense of peace he had not known since his crash. He had entered this alien world as a stranger, alone and uncertain. Now he had earned respect, proven his courage, and discovered a bond that might endure far longer than any challenge he could face. The desert morning was calm, the air cool and gentle against the skin. Tom woke to the soft sounds of camp life. Children laughed as they ran past, carrying training sticks like weapons. Warriors practiced quietly, their movements precise and focused. The camp had returned to a sense of order. The threat of raids diminished after recent events. Tom stretched and glanced toward Arya. She was already awake, sitting by the edge of the central fire, her silver hair glinting in the early light. She looked serene, yet her posture held the authority of a ruler. "You are up early," Tom said, approaching her. Arya turned her glowing eyes toward him. "There is much to prepare today. The elders wish to formally recognize you. They want your place acknowledged before all of our people." Tom froze slightly. "Formally recognized?" She smiled softly. "Yes. You have earned your place here, Tom. Your actions have proven your courage, your loyalty, and your heart. It is time for the people to know you as I do." Tom nodded, trying to hide his nervousness. Recognition was one thing, but being formally acknowledged in front of an entire alien camp was another. By mid-morning, the camp gathered in the central square. Fires burned low, creating pools of warmth under the twin suns. All eyes turned toward the open space where the ceremony would occur. The elders stood together, their expressions solemn but respectful. Arya stepped forward first, standing tall at the center of the square. She raised her hand, and the camp fell silent immediately. Her voice carried across the assembly, clear and commanding. "People of my world," she began, "we have faced danger and uncertainty. We have seen courage and loyalty in those who stand with us. Today, I speak of one who came from a world far from our own, one who acted without fear or expectation, saving me when I was wounded and alone in the desert." The crowd murmured, eyes shifting to Tom. Whispers filled the air, but not with suspicion this time. Curiosity and awe were clear on every face. Arya turned fully to him, her gaze steady. "This human is Tom. He came without knowing me, yet he risked his life to protect mine. In doing so, he earned not only my trust but my respect. From this day forward, he will walk among us as a protector, a trusted ally, and a friend of our people." Tom felt his chest tighten. He had never expected words like this, never imagined such recognition. He stepped forward, bowing slightly, not out of submission, but out of gratitude. The elders nodded in approval. The eldest spoke first. "Tom has shown courage and skill. He has defended our people when many might have faltered. By the authority of the council, his place among us is recognized. He is to be treated as one of our own." The camp erupted into applause and cheers. Warriors who had doubted him before now stood taller, nodding in respect. Children ran forward, eager to see the human who had saved their princess. Mothers and elders whispered words of approval and curiosity. Tom looked around, overwhelmed but quietly proud. He had arrived in this world as a stranger, lost and alone. Now he was recognized, trusted, and accepted. Arya approached him again, her presence calm and strong. "You see, your courage and heart have spoken louder than words. The people understand now what I have known since the desert." Tom smiled faintly. "I still can't believe it. From the sands to this, it's more than I ever imagined." She reached out, brushing a loose strand of his hair back. Her touch was gentle, yet it carried warmth and meaning. "And there is more to come, Tom. Not only are you accepted, but you are part of a future we will build together. You are no longer just an outsider. You are part of our story." The crowd continued to celebrate, but Tom and Arya stood quietly together, feeling the bond between them deepen. It was a bond built not only on bravery, but on trust, respect, and the simple act of kindness that had started everything. Later, as the sun dipped low and the desert sky glowed in shades of gold and purple, Tom helped Arya oversee the camp's preparations. Together they walked through the tents, checking supplies, listening to concerns, and offering guidance. Tom felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. Arya looked at him and smiled softly. "I knew from the moment you helped me in the desert that you were extraordinary. Now the people know it too." Tom chuckled quietly. "I guess saving You was more than just a good deed. It changed everything." She nodded. "It did, and it will continue to. Our world is safer because of you, Tom. And our people are stronger because they now understand the value of courage and compassion, no matter where it comes from." As night fell, the twin moons rose high, casting silver light over the camp. Fires burned in the central square, and the sounds of celebration echoed across the dunes. Tom sat beside Arya on a raised platform, looking out over the camp. "You stayed," she said softly, almost in a whisper. "Even when everything was uncertain, you stayed." Tom met her gaze, his own eyes steady. "I couldn't leave. You saved me too, in a way. You trusted me when others doubted. I wouldn't turn away." Arya's glowing eyes softened, her silver hair glimmering under the moons. "Then let us face the future together, Tom. Not as human and princess, not as stranger and stranger, but as allies and friends. Perhaps more if the days allow." Tom smiled, feeling the truth of her words. He had come to this world alone, stranded and unsure. Now he had found trust, friendship, and a bond that no desert, no danger, and no enemy could break. The camp slept peacefully that night, under the watch of their princess and her human protector. The bond between them had been forged through trials, courage, and acts of kindness, and it would guide them through the challenges ahead. Tom understood that the desert had given him more than survival. It had given him a purpose, a place, and a heart bound to a world he had never imagined.